during the few moments that we have left, we want to talk right down to earth in a language that everybody here can easily understand.
Welcome back to the last segment of our show. And Kevin, you were mentioning something that you just saw pop up on your feed about Vanderbilt.
Yeah, I just saw from one of the sports websites that I follow that they interviewed Coach Derek Mason, who's the head coach of the Vanderbilt Commodores, who formerly was the defensive coordinator for the Stanford Cardinal last year. And he's in the process of trying to schedule a game, a home-and-home series with Vanderbilt and Stanford.
Well, I think that'll be great.
Which you were talking about, the ACC Pac-12, so...
Well, you might know Stanford would step out because
Stanford's not scary. I love that coach at Stanford.
I do
too. Derek Shaw. David Shaw. I love him.
I mean, they're the closest. When I've watched them, and they always have that one game during the year that they mess up in.
Yeah.
I mean, they'd be playing in a championship game, but it seems like one every year they slip up. They'll beat a couple of teams and knock them out of it, and then they'll lose one. But I love Stanford.
I forgot who else they lost. Is it either Washington or one of the Arizona?
It was Arizona State.
Yeah.
No, it was Arizona that beat them last year.
And Arizona wasn't anybody.
Uh-uh.
They had no business beating them. Stanford had that letdown game, though, and it's come back to haunt them. But this Stanford-Vanderbilt thing will be a battle of the brains.
There'll be a bunch of smart kids on the field, that's for sure.
You're not kidding.
Well, there's another big talk out this week about recruiting between the SEC and the Big Ten. They're talking about the Big Ten's right there with the SEC and recruiting. And
when did the Big Ten start recruiting? I missed that.
I mean, you have Ohio State, who I think is in the top 10. Who else have you got? I mean, you got Alabama, Auburn, Texas A&M, Georgia, South Carolina, all of them in the top 10.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have it.
Tennessee.
There's no room to let anybody else in there.
Yeah,
Come on, Bo Pelini, have a temper tantrum.
Well, this is actually dealing with Brady Hoke.
Oh, my goodness.
And I really don't understand that.
Well, I think this is Brady Hoke's last year.
I don't think he's going to make it through the season.
Well,
and Nussmeier's going to be going with him because
Nussmeier's going to make or break that team. I think he's either going to flourish and they'll win 9 or 10 games and surprise everybody, or they'll just sputter.
I just don't see. I mean, Michigan is not. I would be surprised if they win 6 ball games.
And I tell you, one of the better teams coming out of that conference is going to be Michigan State. And I've always liked Michigan State.
Yeah.
I do too, but I hope they lose their first game.
I do too. Go John Gross. Go Jacksonville State.
Oh, yes.
And that's going to be a cakewalk for them. Everybody's going to be talking about, but it is not. I've said it on here a couple of times. They don't have to score to win.
Yes, and it being the first game of the season, you can bet Jacksonville's going to be ready for that game.
They don't even have to prepare for everybody else. They can work all summer on that game because if they can,
they get ready for that game, then they're ready for everybody else.
They're ready for everybody else.
Exactly.
I remember a few years ago when Jacksonville State upset Ole Miss. I mean, that was I loved every minute. I'm hoping that have the same.
Didn't they go for 2 to win it?
Yeah,
and won it in the last couple of seconds or something.
I mean, what did they have to lose?
It was great, and they got a chance.
And the quarterback on that team
was from center.
Yeah, and he was supposed to. He should be playing for John now, but I think he decided to opt for baseball, so he's not even playing anymore football.
Well, they got the number 1 quarterback recruit out of Georgia at JSU.
And then
freshman.
Don't they have a couple of SEC transfers in?
Oh, they got several.
Oh, yeah.
They got 3 from Alabama.
Well, that's good.
Well, you remember when Perilou went there?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, I heard some stories from some friends of mine that were athletic trainers on the football team when he was over there. I mean, just stuff that never made the press, just trying to keep Perilou out of trouble.
This guy was a walking bomb.
They had two guys that was supposed to escort him at all times after practice. Mm-hmm. Wherever they went, he went. They went.
Well, finally, Derek Thomas is going to be inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame after how many years has he been on the ballot? Was it?
I forget what the criteria, but I know he's been on the ballot for at least 15.
I just can't believe it's taken that long to get him in there.
And what were you saying, Kevin, about Teddy Bruschi?
Yeah,
he gets in there, but he wasn't even. He didn't have a good college career.
Yeah, now Teddy was a linebacker for Arizona State. Now I think he had his only claim to fame, but as a collegiate player, I think he had like 20 or 21 sacks in a season. Where Derek Thomas had 27. I mean, there's no, and I think career-wise, in a 4 year, as far as a career, Derek had twice as many sacks as Teddy did, because Derek had like 53 or 54 sacks. But if Teddy Bruschi had gone to play for the Washington Redskins and never became a all pro player, he probably would have never gotten inducted into college.
Exactly,
I know college Hall of Fame and pro Hall of Fame are different, but sometimes people when you become a pro, they recognize what you
become, but not what you were.
Mm-hmm, exactly.
And but Derek did it in both.
Yeah.
I mean, he really had a great pro career and was flourishing when the tragedy happened.
Well, back into college, they have these everybody's early Heisman favorites. They got Todd Gurley from Georgia, who's the
Gershel,
yeah, who's one of the front runners. But the dark horses is who gets me. They got Nick Marshall listed as a dark horse, which is okay with me. But then they also have in that same sentence, they have Dak Prescott, the quarterback from Mississippi State, and Bo Wallace from Ole Miss.
No way. No way.
If they're dark horses, Nick Marshall should be the front runner for the Heisman. If those two are listed,
with that comparison, I agree. Or, my gosh.
Well, I mean, I think Mississippi State is going to have a pretty good team for 5 or 6 games. I think Ole Miss, about the 6th or 7th game, they'll start falling apart too, which they usually do. And I'll just go back to a time when 2010, as a matter of fact, Alabama and Ole Miss, Mississippi State had the same record. We'd lost to South Carolina and LSU. And over there on the sidelines, you could see Nick Saban's all serious. And we're beating the tar out of Mississippi State, but he's just over there. He's serious. He's coaching football. Everybody's into this game. And they showed the Mississippi State sideline. They're all over there jumping around, laughing, having fun, slapping each other on the back, because they were happy to be 7-2. I said 7, but then after Alabama beat them, they lost the rest of their.
But didn't they start 7-0 that year, Mississippi State?
Yes.
They were ranked like in the top 10.
Yes.
And then they got into their SEC schedule and they finished like 7-6.
That's happened to them 2 or 3 times.
Oh, yes. I mean, they had a powder puff at the first of the year, played the weaker SEC teams early, and then by the time they came down to the nitty gritty of it, bam.
It happened again in 2012. They were 7-0.
Yeah.
They lost to A&M, then they lost to us, then they lost to. They ended up finished 7. I think they finished 8-5, but they started out 7-0.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
who have they got this year? Who's Mississippi State got?
Okay, Mississippi starts out with Southern Miss.
Win.
And they play UAB, then they play South Alabama, then they go to LSU, then they got Texas A&M, then they got Auburn, then they got Kentucky at Kentucky, Arkansas, UT Martin, at Alabama. Vanderbilt comes to see them, and then they go to Ole Miss. But,
when do they play Sardis?
but I mean, I've got them going 6-6. Wait, what did I have? Mississippi State. Yeah, I got Mississippi State going 6-6. And I tell you, and I still like what Saban said a few weeks ago or a month ago about these 6-win teams going to bowl games.
Because I remember reading part of that. He said some of these 4-7 teams in the SEC could beat some of these
6-6 teams from another conference.
Well, they're better than some of the 10-1 teams.
Exactly. And boy, you got a lot of bowl games out there that I just don't pay attention.